So the first thing we're going to do is define a couple of epidemiological terms that we're going to be using. So the first term we're going to look at is something called incidence. Now, incidence essentially equals the number of new cases of a particular disease within a given population, and that population is usually given per 100,000, so it could be per 10,000. It all depends upon really how common that disease is to enable clinicians and us to put it into some kind of perspective, really. Okay, so that's the first term. Now, incidence is going to be important for us when we talk a little bit about pneumothorax and its diagnosis, because we're going to be using the incidence rate, not the prevalence rate. So the prevalence rate is essentially the total number of people with that disease within a population, and this will encompass some of the new cases as well, but also people who are living with that disease. Now, depending on what disease that you're wanting to diagnose will depend upon which of these two terms that you move on to use. Okay, so if you're looking at something that is essentially acute, then we would use incidence. And if we're looking at a disease that is chronic and can come on over a long period of time, or somebody could have been living with it for a prolonged period of time, then we would use incidence. Chronic. Okay? So they're important for us in determining our positive and negative predictive values, because given the type of disease will point us towards which one of these we're going to use. So if it's acute, we would use incidence. Chronic, we would use prevalence. So for things like cancers, we would normally use prevalence. For acute conditions like a pneumothorax or myocardial infarction, those sorts of things, then it's probably more useful to use incidence. And what that does is that gives us an indication of how likely our test is going to be to pick up a particular condition, and that's what we're going to talk about now.